evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, July 11th, 2018. I am the Nighthawk, along with our studio director, Mr. Zach, and on the panel, our regular summer crew here on my immediate right, the young phenom, Mr. Nick Mumley, and the elder statesman.
Or the old throw. What's a good opposite word from phenom?
I don't. But I was going to say,
has been, older has been.
The elder statesman of our panel, my good pal, the Duke.
Hey, Hawk, good to see you for a change, buddy.
Are back after a 1 week respite from the July 4th holiday last week. And I'm going to open the show with something I've never done, never will do. But since you're here,
Got to
Nick,
be World Cup. The
our
two great
self-proclaimed World Cup expert on the panel.
Oh, jeez.
So I'm putting the heat. All right, so if you want to hear the Nighthawk be silent, just bring up the topic soccer, and I'll take a nap.
Hawk, you're missing some incredible excitement out there.
Croatia beat England today.
Did they in penalty kicks, right? In penalty kicks? Or
so we have France and Croatia in the finals. And the only thing I want to ask...
France being, of course, Les Bleus, the Blues.
Oh, okay.
Les Bleus.
Okay, and I'm going to ask you one sociological question, and then I'm going to keep my mouth shut while you and Duke ramble about football. How does a country of the wealth of the United States, let alone not perform great in the World Cup, not even making it?
Not even making it,
and you've got
really.
A country like Belgium, which incidentally I was in May. Yeah. A small country of Belgium, which if I heard correctly, and I don't know if I remember right, might be the size of the state of Maryland.
Yeah.
I mean,
that sounds about right.
Okay.
Very small country.
And Belgium was in the semifinals.
Poor
Croatia, Duke probably can tell more of the...
I can't tell you a whole lot about Croatia. bigger than Belgium.
Yeah, and I know part of the good thing for being poor in these countries is they can't afford to play hockey.
Yeah.
They can't afford to play American football or baseball because soccer is the cheapest sport, period, to play. You know, give a kid a pair of cleats and a ball and, you know, you're on your way. But it's, to me, for a guy who I think is more of a typical American than you when it comes to soccer, I just find it somewhat shocking that these small countries are able to go so far into the World Cup. So, anyway, so comments on the World Cup 2018. Go ahead, Nick.
Well, I mean, I haven't been able to watch a whole lot of it because all the games are in the middle of the day when I've been working. So I've tried to follow along quite a bit, and it's been really cool to see, you know, the regular powerhouses, your Brazils, your let's see, Argentina, Spain, Germany, they've all been kind of quiet. They all got knocked out really early. And so it's given a lot of more unusual soccer nations to really step up into the spotlight when, you know, we're used to seeing those teams up in the spotlight there. So, you know, France is really the only one of the national powerhouses that's really kind of come alive or stayed in it here, and but it's been cool I think it's cool for the nations that are coming up and doing well. You know, Russia, Croatia, obviously, England did really well this year, and they've kind of been on the downslide the last 10 years or so. They had a really good World Cup, so you know it's good for nations like that to kind of increase worldwide popularity of the game because they get this national stage.
How is the viewing, the ratings, with the U.S. not being in it, has made any difference? I haven't seen.
I mean, as in U.S., I'm sure worldwide, there are billions of people.
Right, worldwide, you never have to be concerned about.
I can't tell you anything about U.S.
The U.S. ratings, I'm sure, are not anywhere as close. I mean, obviously, you go back to the last 2 or 3 World Cups when the United States was in it, you see the world shuts, or the country shuts down for the United States games. I mean, you obviously just haven't had that this year. I think it's more of the soccer diehards that have been watching.
Has it been ESPN doing the coverage?
Fox has had it this year.
Fox has the games.
Fox is grabbing all kinds of stuff.
So you're saying with the time difference, the games mainly have been during the daytime?
Yeah,
Russia's the host country. We're talking, what, a 7-hour time difference or so. Yeah. In fact, just to wrap up, again, the third place game is 11 o'clock Saturday morning. Third place game, and the championship game is 11 o'clock our time, Eastern time, U.S. Sunday morning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so most of the games have been early afternoon.
Both on Fox.
Yeah.
I guess 11 o'clock's not a bad
it's
time.
Not terrible. I mean,
so England, geez, I heard England was up 1-0 today, and I know Croatia. I saw actually Lowe's and Mimos for a little bit.
Yep.
So they won on penalty kicks.
Croatia, or I don't know if it was penalty kicks.
Maybe additional.
I know it was an extra time. Yeah.
Okay, extra time.
So you used the word kneel. I'd like to see the dictionary for the.
Everybody doesn't. Actually, I heard nothing. I hate it when.
I think you were just showing off. Be honest with you.
No, not showing off. But actually, I hear plenty of people say nothing.
Yeah.
But what was weird, and kudos to TSN 690. They have. I think they maybe have had all the games. Like I said, I drive my life away. I'm typically in my car, so I've been hearing more. I've heard much more on radio than seen on TV. Yeah. But again, kudos to TSN for covering this stuff.
Has the host country, Russia, done a nice job with these games?
Sounds like it.
It seems like they have, and I think it helped. I think it was huge to see Russia go on the run that they did to the quarterfinals. I think nobody really expected them to even get out of the group stages.
You're right, because I think they were the 70th. I think they were about the bottom ranked team.
Yeah,
they did very well.
Yeah, they weren't.
I think Vladimir, unlike Papa Joe Stalin, who might have already opted the coach at this point, I think Vladimir had very good words for the coach and the team, and I think sincerely. And Russia did well.
What city?
Three. Well, I guess Moscow. I guess was one of them.
Assume that Moscow would be.
There are places I hadn't even heard of. I could probably dig them up for you, but I think 3 different sites in Russia. Yeah. Sounds like they've done a good job.
Yeah. And who has the venue 4 years from now? Do
Nick,
you know?
You want to take a guess? I know.
4 years from now?
This goes back to they should have thrown. Maybe they're still trying to. There's just so much corruption with FIFA.
Oh, it's horrible.
And in fact, that Russia got it was part of the backroom, smoke-filled room deal. As is the next one, Qatar. Qatar's got 2022, and then of course they seemingly cleaned up the corruption. And then the U.S., Mexico, and Canada recently got the 2026.
Can I tell you? I always mispronounce.
Well, don't
Qatar.
feel bad.
I call it Qatar.
As did I, just like Niger, Is Niger now Niger? Or?
Can I tell you, there was a good story on Bryant Gumbel show on HBO about the poor slaves. Well, they didn't know they were slaves, that they would bring them up to Qatar to do the work, and they literally, at gunpoint, they forced them to stay. Really? And the amount of deaths that occurred. Now, I think the average temperature at Qatar at this time of the year is about 115 degrees.
Yeah. Wow. At quick glance, it sounds like an absurd place to have it, but it goes back to the corruption days, I guess.
Backroom, smoke-filled.
Supposedly. As was Russia, that they got it, but it sounds like Russia's done a
Russia's
good job.
done a
I mean,
pretty
Vladimir
decent
Putin
job.
is no dummy.
Yeah.
Obviously, PR, anything international means a lot to them and stuff. Sounds like they've done a good job. Yeah. St. Petersburg, I guess, is one of the sites in Russia. That's the date line I've got in front of me for the France 1, Belgium 0 in St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
I think Moscow's another city that I'd never heard of.
Well, Duke, let me ask you this. Do you think if you and I went up to Montreal, to Saputo Stadium, and watched the Montreal Impact, and seeing the whole field, I might get a greater appreciation
I would think, and if the fans are into it, I would think
right,
because
the fans are more fanatical about soccer than any other sport.
I'm sure we could probably knock down a Molson or two. I think we'd have a decent time, but I mean the fans up there are really into it. Yeah. I think it'd be a good thing to do.
I'm trying to remember. That's right near the old Olympic
right near
Stadium.
the Big O, isn't it? Just a little east or whatever, just a little past the Big O, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun to do.
Yeah.
Maybe catch. I know you're you don't like to admit it, but the New England Revolution, of course, being a New Englander, kind of your team. So catch an Impact Rev game sometime.
Yeah. See, I love nicknames of the teams. Like New England Revolution is a great name. I never understood the Boston Red Sox. I always thought it was like the owner of the team back around the 1900s said, "Honey, can you get my Red Sox out of the drawer for me?" Because they were the Boston Pilgrims. Yeah. Which what a
naturally enough
great nickname that is. So okay, I don't know. I mean,
soccer.
It
I
looks
don't know.
like,
I don't know.
I've
what we
never
can
even
talk
really
about
played
now.
the sport. I mean, I guess if you're young and you're in shape, you know, you can do it, and it probably is a lot of fun. So maybe I should attempt before I depart.
Well, you have 2 more chances. You got the championship game Sunday. You might even be awake for the second half of it.
Yeah.
11 o'clock start
Yeah.
for the championship game Sunday.
You know, I may record that, and when I golf with you Sunday, I'm going to say, Duke,
God,
don't say a word, don't say a word.
Thanks for thinking about me and golf. I'd like to think that might happen.
And before I go on to our self-proclaimed tennis expert at the end of the desk here,
Right. 3 Stooges.
that would
gentlemen.
be you. Yeah, gentlemen, who walked in? During this heat wave we had last week, I can
Significant heat wave.
proudly announce, or stupidly announce, that me and my partner Joe Whittemore played every time we were scheduled to play in that 95 to 90.
What about the Sunday that you and
that
I
you
were
called
going back and forth?
you were? I did play with Joe.
Did you just play earlier? I thought
No,
you
we
told me
played-
Joe wasn't playing.
No, we played, but listen, it was
No, you told
our
me
usual
Joe was,
5:45.
You told me Joe
I
wasn't
called
sure.
Joe and told him,
I feel
Joe,
bad I didn't.
Joe,
Yeah.
bring your cell phone. Of course, he never carries one. He has the old flip phone. He goes, "What do you need?
That's what I've got too.
What do you need? What do you need the phone out there for? You hate phones." Well, of course
you
I
did
hate
play,
phones.
huh?
But I said, "But I'm going to give you one good reason why I bring the phone out is you're 70 years old. You're old. Okay, I'm fat. Okay." I said, "We go out in this 97-degree heat. One of us may not make it back."
Interesting.
And I can tell you, Duke, 2 people on the whole golf course.
Oh, is that right?
That particular, and another evening there were 4. I mean,
I felt bad about saying I got my kid at camp. I think I told you I was kind of, I was very tight time-wise and stuff. So I think I wouldn't, but I felt a little bad
Duke,
about
I
not
golfed last night, even though the temps were probably low 80s.
Yeah.
The humidity was outrageous. I got
Actually,
home.
Burlington's official high yesterday, for the record, was 89.
Oh, okay. I think by the time we golfed, it was low 80. But
Yeah.
I could have wrung my shirt out and filled a bucket of,
Yeah.
golf today at 2:15. Very, very pleasant day.
Yeah.
Just a outstanding day to be out there. Unfortunately, I didn't play well, but I was so excited to be
But
on the
kudos
show.
you're playing. Like, for the record, not that I've played in weeks, but for the record, I did stop by, talk about one of the great deals in the world. EFCC, Enosburg Falls Country Club today, and got my kid, as usual, junior golf membership, $50.
Did you play today?
No, I was over in Enosburg. But I got my kid as, talk about a steal of a deal, $50.
Yeah, you go to a golf course.
I didn't play today. I'd like to think I'd play Sunday, but geez, you know my credibility.
So, Wimbledon today, the big news, Roger Federer,
Oh, you know me, you literally know more than me.
Yeah.
Roger went down today?
number 1 ranked Roger Federer, and you can tell me about this guy, of course, never heard of him. Kevin
that right?
Anderson beat him in 5 sets.
Really?
And he beat him in the 5th set, 13-11.
Oh, what a match.
Yeah.
Did you happen to see, were you monitoring this at all?
Working all day long.
So-
I think
I didn't get
somebody,
to watch
Kevin
it. I've been
Anderson,
trying to watch a little
Kevin
bit of it,
Anderson
but-
was in the finals a year or 2 ago and got beaten by maybe Federer. Is that right? 13
Can
to
you
11?
check who the 4 quarterfinal winners were?
13 to 11 in the 5th
Let's
set?
see, John Isner, Rafael Nadal,
Hey, we have an American.
Yeah.
Novak Djokovic,
I saw
and
some of
Anderson.
Novak's match. I saw Novak's match today,
And
some of it.
Isner beat the Canadian kid.
Yep,
Uh,
Raonic.
Ronas.
he's a
That's good.
Ronic.
Wow,
I don't know.
Federer went down, huh?
Yeah. So I always ask Duke the same question every year. Who are great American hopes of the future?
Well, John Isner, maybe. I mean, he's good. And then, again, Serena Williams, even though her ranking fell off the charts because she wasn't playing, obviously still the best, maybe not for Wimbledon, but maybe.
Now she played
American-
yesterday and won.
Yeah, oh yeah, she's been
They're
winning.
playing. She's playing tomorrow.
I
against
wouldn't-
some German at 9:15 a.m.
Some
Against
German.
German.
Angelique Kerber, probably.
It says Julia
No, Sibylkova?
Gorges.
I like when
I don't
you're
know any
stuck,
te-
when
I
you're
don't- I know
stuck, stuck
tennis.
on a
I'm
pronunciation.
looking for a
some
Wimbledon.
German.
I'm looking
Yeah,
for
I
a
don't know
Wimbledon
tennis
story,
at
and I'm not
all,
even
so.
seeing it.
Now,
Anyway.
Nick, how much interest do you follow major tennis and your friends?
My friends don't at all.
No.
I will. I'll watch it when I'm home during the day, and it'll be on ESPN. I'll sit down and watch it. But no, it's not. I don't know anyone that likes tennis who's my age.
Right, and back when I was your age, back in the mid-'70s, I would presume, tennis was huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Wimbledon was just a monumental event, and now it just seems to come and go.
Yeah.
I mean,
Talk back to soccer for 1 second.
Sure.
Here's another dateline. Sochi, Russia. I guess Sochi of Russian Winter Olympics fame. There may have been more than 3 venues. I may be off on that.
okay,
So Sochi was one of them too.
yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, then, I mean, American men's tennis, if there are any, I'm sure there's some rising, good young players, but I'm not on top of them. On the women's side, though, I mean, Serena's great, Madison Keys, Sloane Stephens, there's a bunch of good American women. But American men, boy,
And I always ask you why, and I know the first answer is, like, if I say, well, again, we're a wealthy country, blah, blah, blah. The first answer would be, well, there's a lot more activities for us to do in this country versus other countries. It's still somewhat mind-boggling to me.
But there's just lack of tennis.
Since what, Pete Sampras, our last great American
I
tennis
guess.
player.
I guess, yeah, I agree. That is kind of a little puzzling.
Yeah.
I'm sure the McEnroes, John and
It's the same way
Patrick,
with
are
soccer. So.
not happy about
And
that.
Duke, I guess we can look back when tennis was somewhat popular, that we kind of lived through the golden era with McEnroe and
Jimmy
Bjorn
Connors,
Borg
guys
and
like
Jimmy
that.
Connors and
I guess.
Ili
that's how it-
Nastase, who always made it interesting.
Ili Nastase.
Yeah. So NBA basketball. Now, we were off last week, and I was on vacation the week before.
Yeah.
So we, I believe, haven't had time to talk about the NBA draft.
Yeah.
But Duke University had a plethora of just really
Yeah, they did pretty
outstanding
well.
young freshmen. And I guess I really should preface this by saying, and dig this out, the days or the one and done are coming to an end.
I heard a reference today that 2 more years of it is what I heard today.
Yeah. that's
Adam
about what
Silver,
it sounds
Yeah.
like, yeah.
the commissioner, is seriously considering allowing 18-year-olds to declare for the NBA draft.
Yeah.
My personal view is that we're ready to make the change, said Silver. It won't come immediately, but when I weigh the pros and cons, and given that Condoleezza Rice, the former Secretary of State, and her NCAA commission has recommended to the NBA that those one-and-done players now come directly into the league, and in essence, the college community is saying we do not want those players anymore.
Yeah.
I mean that sport. I mean that sort of tips the scale in my mind that we should be taking a serious look at lowering the age to 18. It's like what I've been yapping about for the last number of years. Is these guys aren't, and they're forced into going to college, and I can't blame them because. Half these Duke, most of these Duke, well, let me get more specific. Duke has, unbelievable, the top 3 recruits in the country coming to the school. Do you really think those top 3 guys would be going to college this fall? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Now, here's a sad
So what's
point.
the plan? Are they going to do more of a minor league or something, or what's the plan?
I think you'd have to.
Well, let me ask you this.
I mean, do the pros really want these 18-year-olds? And
Sure.
Sure they do. I mean,
But
you look at...
wouldn't they like them a lot more if they had like a year or 2 in the minors or something?
I don't know.
A la
I think
college football.
Right. The pros do not mind
I don't-
these
Yeah.
guys playing
you look at the...
because it's,
Of course, when you have a
they don't
Jason,
have to pay for it.
when you have a Jason Tatum playing like he does.
Right. They
Right,
don't
and-
have to pay for
and
college.
you look at
Right.
like, for example, LeBron James. If he has to go to college, Cavaliers don't get that chance of getting him because, I mean, he has to go to college for that year.
Yeah.
The chances of them having the number 1 pick again, probably a little bit less likely. So,
Yeah.
and you can look at it from the same way this year with DeAndre Ayton. I mean, the pro teams are going to want these guys as soon as they can.
Yeah.
If they see a talent like LeBron James or anybody else, and they have that top 5 pick, they can take him right when they want to.
I
mean, you guys
really
shouldn't have
think
to go
they
to
know
college, yeah.
by these kids are age 15 what they're
Right.
supposedly going to be.
Yeah.
But here's a sad case. Grayson Allen went he was preseason low 20s.
Yeah.
Just where he ended up.
He kind of fell into the 30s, and he played really well during his pre-draft workouts.
Yeah.
And I made the point I wouldn't mind Boston taking him. He, I believe, ended 21st
with
Utah.
With Utah.
And of course, he had a scrap.
Of course, former Dookie Quinn Snyder.
Yeah.
Only came in second in Coach of the Year.
So, for a guy like Allen, it's not a bad spot. But Trayvon Duval,
Yeah.
the Dookie, who was predicted right around 20th before the season.
So where did he fall off to?
He fell off the face of the earth.
The
earth is flat.
Kyrie, should we invoke Kyrie here?
He did not get drafted. Houston Rockets signed him as an undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
And if I asked a guy like Duval, he'd probably say, I never want to go to college anyway. And I don't know who talks to these kids. I mean, somebody should have gave Duval a heads up by saying, you really need another year of college basketball.
Right, yeah.
And I can't address
just a
his playing. Yeah. He's the Duke University
And who knows?
expert.
Coach K might have had that conversation with him. Who knows?
Yeah. But I will tell you this. Wendell Carter Jr. And I watched more Duke basketball this year just because I was intrigued by him and Marvin Bagley III. Bagley III was picked second overall, extremely skilled. But I've heard from at least 3 experts right now
they're
saying Wendell
right?
Carter
might be better than
when
Bagley.
all's said and done,
the best
will be the best player coming out of this draft. Because this guy is kind of Mr. Everything.
It's good.
19 years old, he's got a high IQ of the game, and he plays defense. He can play both ends of the court.
That's a lost art in this league.
And, Chicago, right? He went to?
Yeah, Chicago.
Yeah, I think there would be
We'll get a chance to play right away as well at Chicago.
Yeah,
not a very good team.
I mean, the thing had he fallen down to Cleveland, which of course he didn't do, you wonder if LeBron might have even thought about hanging around.
Yeah.
Right.
And Cleveland got a really nice player, and Colin Sexton is
that guy doesn't. Is that right? He doesn't mean much to me.
He didn't.
He is great.
He went under the radar because he played for a bad Alabama team that really wasn't a factor in March at all. So not a lot of people know about him. But I remember when I was watching college basketball every waking hour of the day, and back in March, that this guy really stood out to me. I think that he's going to be a really good point guard.
I think his coach is Avery Johnson, former NBAer down there. He had absolutely high kudos for him. But I'm telling you right now, the NBA right now is more popular than it ever has been. It's just,
off the court stuff is why it's why it's like that, because there's the drama of the offseason is just so crazy with the draft and free agency and trades that go on.
LeBron was the top story until
and teams trying to handle players' attitudes and which players want to build super teams and where, and what player is going to do what next year. So that the offseason stuff is the reason why the NBA is so good right now. The on-the-court product is not that great.
Not so great.
But it's the drama and the off-the-court stuff with the players' egos that really gets the fans intrigued because there's so much to follow.
I think, and I'm not sure if I'm right, but perhaps it's the invention of the super teams that have made the sport, because you have a certain number of haves, not many. And there's a tremendous amount of have-nots. But these super teams are literally some of the greatest teams in the history of the NBA. I mean, Golden State, when all said and done, will be ranked as one of the top teams.
Boogie Cousins into the
for a year,
See, I didn't realize, and I like Boogie Cousins a lot. I know he has a very bad attitude, and I would never get in a fight with this guy.
You think you'd get a good year out of him, right?
But he's not. I didn't realize this until he signed with Golden State. Is he's not available, or he's what did he have, an Achilles tendon?
He tore his Achilles. He's going to be out until
Christmas, right?
Probably December,
I didn't know that either.
But once he comes back, though, that's
now Nick.
And talk about incentive to play well.
Right.
One-year contract.
Is there any truth to the rumor that Boston was interested in the boogeyman?
Well, I mean, it looks like at the end of the day that it came down to Boston and Golden State. And
Did it really?
Yeah, they both gave him he declined a big contract from New Orleans because he wanted to leave and apparently go win a championship. And he decided between Boston and Golden State on that 1 year, $5 million deal.
Yeah, just
and
playing for peanuts.
Ended up choosing Golden State.
I was surprised because him and the eyebrow, which might be the best nickname in all of sports, Anthony Davis, he has one eyebrow. Yeah. And that's his name.
Is that right? I didn't even know that.
The unibrow, right.
The unibrow.
But they were a great tandem together. They seemed to mesh really well together, so it was a little surprising to me. Now, back to the draft. Celtics picking 27th. Of course, you kind of get the, just the scraps.
Yeah.
Well,
potential pretty good scrap.
The center from Texas A&M on every mock draft, he was in the top 14 year lottery picks.
That sounds like 14.
13th, 14th, 13th, 14th, everywhere I look.
Yeah.
So I'm watching the draft, and Grayson Allen goes, as I said, 21st, and well, good for him. And they're falling, and I'm thinking to myself, nah, he's not going to fall to 27th. Philadelphia takes a player, and I can't remember who it was. I think it was a guard. So Robert Williams III was there. Yeah. He's got a wingspan bigger than the studio, so about just incredible. Yeah. I think he's got a 6'11" wingspan. And so the Celtics pick him. But the real news is what happened after they picked him. I mean,
and that's why he fell.
Okay, so was it the following day, Nick? He had an 11 o'clock telephone press conference.
Slept through it.
He, like the Nighthawk, slept through his 11 o'clock telephone press conference.
Yeah.
And a week later, the first practice for the summer league, he missed his flight.
Missed the practice.
So, and
then he hurt his knee in the first game.
He played 6.5 minutes, which I watched. I hate to be on TV and publicly admit I've been watching some of these summer league games.
Yep.
It kind of makes me look pathetic.
Well,
but
summer league, the big story of it, Trey Bell-Haynes out of UVM has been really, really good with Milwaukee.
Have you seen him?
I haven't watched any of the games personally.
He only scored 1 point his last game. He'll play in the G League. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I think he's pretty much proven himself as a guy who can have an NBA contract.
That's a good story.
So the Maine Red Claws out of Portland, Maine.
Yep.
The G League team of the Celts. They took their assistant coach. This is unbelievable. And reassigned him to be Robert Williams' personal coach.
Is that right?
Yes.
Well,
and apparently he's a nice kid.
Yeah.
Just not that smart and very immature.
Kind of got off to a tough start. Yeah. He blows a conference call, then he misses a plane.
Right.
I mean, an almost unbelievable start. Yeah. But still, with the potential there, the guy can.
Dude, if I picked you with the 27th pick, I mean, it's.
Yeah.
No, that's probably not a bad move. Do what you can with this guy.
Yeah, and it's a low risk, high reward.
What about the huge Celtics story, of course, these days is Marcus Smart. Yeah. Marcus meeting with guy, you think his
value is going down every day.
You ready? Well, this might come as a surprise. You ready for what he thinks is worth?
I know what he thinks he's worth.
You're talking like 15 mil a season?
Right.
Dreaming.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Ultimately, for the Celtics to be holding out on this guy right now is the smartest thing they can do.
Yeah, they were hoping just for give him $6 million for next year.
They've offered him a $6 million contract for 1 year, which is the restricted, which is the RFA offer there.
Yeah.
Looks like we got a caller.
Hey, we have a caller. Forget about the phones in here.
Good evening. You're the first caller tonight on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Go ahead.
Yeah, enough basketball. We got some good pennant races going on.
I'm kind of losing interest in baseball.
In one of the leagues, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no one wants to hear basketball right now. A lot of good pennant races going on. Yeah, I don't blame you, Nighthawk. Maybe we'll start off with you and what's going on with the Nationals. What are they going to do to pick themselves up? Are they going to make some trades, steals, fire a manager? maybe bring
I
up
like
some
Dave
more
Martinez.
kids to help them. It
Martinez.
seems to be the only ones hitting.
Yeah. As I told you, caller, before, you've been the downward spiral of Bryce Harper. Right when he started it off bad, he called up and kind of gave me the business. Since June 1st, all-star right fielder Bryce Harper has hit 182 and struck out 48 times in 121 at-bats. Okay, so now the Nats lost today, and this is somewhat weird. They lost 2-0 today. Of course, they can't hit, and available only on Facebook.
Yeah.
Now, Major League
That's the
Baseball.
only way you can see the game.
Right.
What about your package? Don't you have an MLB package?
MLB came up with an agreement with Facebook to give them X number of games only available on Facebook. So I had a tee time at 2:15. So I usually check my news headlines before I go out. So I clicked, it said live on Facebook. I clicked on that. My wife has Facebook. So I watched the bottom half of the fifth when the Nats had a chance. And the aforementioned Harper struck out with 2 guys on base. But the Nats are 6 games out. And I know you don't want to hear excuses, but they do lead the Major League Baseballs in most lost games injury. Steven Strasburg, who has never been hurt in his life before.
See, he's out again?
Of course, he's been out since June 8th. He will be back to start the first game after the All-Star game, I think, on July 20th.
Yeah, but a ton of injuries.
The trouble is you're chasing 2 teams.
That's the problem right now, and I'm telling you right now, and if Leonard Parent wasn't golfing on Wednesday nights this early, my question to him is this with Atlanta. Atlanta had a very specific game plan, how they were going to go about to become a good team. I think we all agree that they may be at least 1 year ahead of their game plan right now. So does Atlanta go out, trade any of their young kids for an established veteran? I know Philadelphia's got the money. Philadelphia right now, I think, where is it? Philadelphia's 1 game in first place. And my prediction is Harper will end up in Philadelphia. Not a solid prediction, but Philadelphia wants to get back into the game.
Yeah. They're close.
Aaron Nola's pitched extremely well for them.
You watch how the Nationals and the Astros have kind of been the 2 teams that have gone from complete trash to decent teams the last 10 or so years. I think Philadelphia is that.
So this
team.
caller called back in May about trading Harper, and I essentially said, caller, you're nuts. That's never going to happen. With that being said, today's the 11th, 20 more days until the trade deadline. If the Nats are still toiling 6-7 games out of first place, they're
going to have to do something.
I would almost give them away because they have a young center fielder who's having to take the bench because that young phenom, Juan Soto, is still hitting over 300. The kid's just an unbelievable player. Will he finish at 300? Probably not.
Didn't the Nets win their division by like 20?
They won by 20 games last year. So they have Soto, Bryce Harper's now playing center field, and Adam Eaton, who's back from injury, is playing right field. I'll tell you what I told Joe, my golf partner. A week ago, I was concerned. Today, I'm worried.
All right.
I think that's fair, yeah. I mean, the Nationals,
now,
they got to do something.
Who's your manager, Martinez?
I like Dave Martinez.
If I was the owners of the Nats, he would be on the hot seat, and he would have to show me something real nice by the end of the month, or he would be gone. I mean, this isn't the Kansas City Royals that he is coaching. I mean, I think you 3 or I could do as well or better than he is doing with that team. There's talent top to the bottom, and you look, there's no reason why they're not hitting. There really isn't any big holes in the lineup. And, I don't know if he's not keeping these guys pumped up. You'll go score 18 runs one game, then maybe 2 the next, then shut out the next game. They're playing very, very inconsistent ball. I don't know if they need a fire lit beneath their butt. If this Martinez really isn't the kind of coach the Nationals need, But personally, I feel there's too much talent on that team to be a sub-500 ball club.
Yeah.
What do you think about Mr. Martinez?
Well, as far as the manager, that was purely by ownership. Even Mike Rizzo, the GM, wanted to keep Dusty Baker. For crying out loud, he had 97 wins last year. But again, the Nats lost in the first round. And unfortunately for Dusty, he's never had any playoff success. And they canned him and they went after Martinez. But I have to get back to the injuries. Daniel Murphy just got back a couple weeks ago. Adam Eaton just got back 3 weeks ago. Matt Wieters came back for missing a vast majority of the season 2 nights ago. As I said, Strasburg's been out. What's really hurt them, and their pitching caller around the 1st of June was the second best in the National League. They're down around 7th right now. Tanner Roark has been horrible. Gio Gonzalez, who had a great year last year, is in his final year of his contract. He's been stinking it up. Aside from the injuries, there's guys, AKA like a Bryce Harper, that aren't performing up to their capabilities. Can we still get it together? Yeah, Strasburg back and Scherzer being Scherzer.
Okay, I'm a season ticket holder. You're an owner. What are you going to do to make me a happy fan?
Boy, not re-sign Bryce Harper in November. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I'm a ticket holder. I want something now.
Sometimes sports is sports, where teams don't perform up to their capabilities.
So you think the Nationals should sit
I
back
guess
and
what I'm saying,
let this
do you
happen
see
to
a
them?
trade?
They
do
can't.
You want to mix things up? I mean, you with a team like that, you just can't sit back and make wait for things to happen.
Right, but Ryan Zimmerman is another guy that's missed the whole year. But with that being said, the duel of Mark Reynolds and Matt Adams, they have the second most RBIs at the first base position in all of baseball, only second to Milwaukee. Jesus plays for Milwaukee. Jose Aguilar, is that the guy's name?
Yeah.
This guy is really good. You just have to hope. It's the only thing you can do, because they're not going to be trading all these guys.
I can't. I wouldn't, as a general manager or as a fan, be able to sit back and watch the Nationals with all this talent.
But again, they didn't have all this talent for most of the season. Again, they lead Major League Baseball most lost games injuries. And that, I mean, I know all teams deal with injuries, but when you're the very top of the heap with most lost games, it's going to hurt you. And then again, coupled with down performances, pitching stats always been the strength of that team. And guys aren't performing well, and Strasburg getting hurt again. But if they're not playing well, September 1st, they're out of it. You can see Victor Robles coming up and taking over right field.
Why wouldn't you trade Harper right now?
Yeah, he's going to be a very exciting player.
Trade Harper now? If it could happen in 3 weeks, it could very well happen. But again, what's his trade value? I mean, what have you done for me lately? As I said, he's hitting 182.
I think his trade value is, if you get anything from him, it's better than seeing him walk. I think anything, you can get a couple of AA prospects for him. And as the GM of the Nationals, if that's the best offer I get, I'm taking it. Simply because I don't want him back next year.
And it would give you a good look at Robles.
Yeah, it gives you a good look at Robles, and you get the bat hitting 150 out of your lineup. I mean,
as stinky as Harper's been, he's still second in the National League with 22 home runs, and he's got 52 RBIs. So he has been a complete bomb. But if he can take,
then you can get more than
the American League, he'd probably be 12th in home runs.
Well, the American League, they hit more homers.
But I mean, I don't know why we haven't heard a whole lot out of anyone, because Machado's been dominating the news for trade rumors, but you haven't heard anything about Bryce Harper. That makes no sense at all.
Nope, I have not heard one team. The Yankees are kicking the tires.
As a Nationals fan, that would kind of make me upset to have this guy playing so poorly. You know he's not going to be back next year, yet they aren't even talking to anybody about him.
They may be talking to his agent, Scott Boras. The only thing with Bryce Harper right now is you say a prayer and just pray that he can get out of his slump. You know, I mean, he's a former MVP. He's 25 years old. He has a great resume. Now, do I think the pressure of what he was hoping for a $500 million contract is getting to him? Absolutely. I told my buddy today, he has lost $100 million by this season alone going into free agency.
But and for the Nationals, though,
yeah, he is a guy right now that you want him to put the team on his shoulders and carry him, and he's not doing that.
Absolutely. And that kind of answers the whole question. If the Nats come back, it will be Bryce Harper putting the team on his shoulders.
And I don't see that happening. And as a if I was a Nationals fan sitting in your shoes or standing in your shoes right now, I just wouldn't, hoping that things get better, that wouldn't be an option for me. I think the Nationals need to make some sort of change, whether it's firing Martinez, whether it's
they're not
trading
going to
Harper.
fire Martinez.
I mean, you got to do
I'll tell you
something.
why. Again, it was the ownership. It wasn't Mike Rizzo that brought him aboard. It was the ownership, the Lerner family, that are probably the richest owners in baseball. They didn't want Dusty around anymore, and that was a big mistake right there. So, you know, they're not completely out of it. However, I'm not putting my home up for a bet.
Well, they're not completely out of it because they've been playing.
They're not far out from the playoffs at all.
Yeah, but if they keep playing the way they have the last 20 days or so, they will be out of it in a couple
you're
of
right.
weeks.
If they continue to play, they've been playing .333 baseball for the last 5 weeks, then they'll be out of it by August 1st, no question about it.
Yeah,
they have to turn things around.
If you're out of it by August 1st, July 31st is already come and gone, and you're sitting there with the team you've got.
Yeah.
So
again, you look at, you're not going to trade Ryan Zimmerman when he comes back at first. You're not going to, Daniel Murphy will be a free agent after the season, and he's starting to hit pretty well. He'll be in the American League as a DH next year. Trey Turner is one of the finest shortstop. I know this guy likes him.
You don't want to
shortstop. Anthony Rendon is one of the best third basemen in baseball. The aforementioned Juan Soto, the 19-year-old kid. You got Adam Eaton, who they traded a couple pitchers for last year, and Victor Robles will be up next year. They have Michael Taylor. So they have a good position players. Pitching, starting pitcher. And I'll tell you a pitcher I wouldn't mind getting, and he hasn't pitched bad for his new team and it won't cost him anything, is Matt Harvey.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't know if the Reds will want to trade him.
Well, he's, I believe, a free agent after this season.
What's Harper had to say this year about it is just not an unimpressive season.
Nothing. He doesn't talk to the press.
Doesn't talk.
He's very ambivalent. I have no hard feelings towards him, nor do I have any great feeling. He's very quiet, very intense, and there's just nothing.
So he just doesn't like dealing with the media. He just doesn't talk to him.
I think Bryce Harper will be just fine once he gets a fresh start wherever he goes. I'd like to see him go to a smaller market team where there's not as much pressure on him, and see if he can thrive there, because I think he's one of those guys that the pressure, the bright lights really get to him. So, you know, I think if he went to New York, which I don't think will happen anyway.
He doesn't want to play in New York.
Or any of those bigger teams, maybe the Dodgers or something like that. I think that he would, you know, not be as good of a player as he could be, because when the pressure hasn't really been on the Nationals, he's been a good player. Now they're kind of in this situation where they've lost so much in the postseason. The window's closing quickly for them to make the World Series, and he's got a big contract here where he could make $300 million. So, and he's cracking clearly underneath all the pressure. So, if I'm Bryce Harper, I am, you know, just trying to go to a smaller marketplace where there's not as much TV
but
cameras.
the problem is he still will get a fair amount of money. Now, his problem is the new barometer or bar has been set with J.D. Martinez. Martinez signed for like $22.5 million a year. And any team can say, well, he's nowhere close to what Martinez is, and this is what Martinez is getting. So instead of him thinking at least $30 million a year,
I don't think he'll get anywhere close to $30 million a year.
He's probably going to have to get down to the $22.5 million range. So.
Yeah, there's no guarantee for anybody that he'll come back to the player he was.
Yeah, right. He'll still have enough meal money, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, caller, I did want
I
to.
think one other problem with the Nats is they're so used to being in first place and not having to play hard. They're usually, by June 1st, they're 15 games ahead.
And then it kills them in the
all
playoffs.
they've had to do the last few years is go through the motions to win. But, you know, the talent is certainly there. Atlanta, are they going to keep on winning? Who knows? Philadelphia, a good team, and there's, you know, wild card spots.
Even better
and,
from here.
you know, you guys have the pitching and the hitting, and like I said, somebody's got to, you know, light these guys up and let them know there's a pennant race going on.
Yeah, I'm afraid of Philadelphia, and I really, truly believe Philadelphia will be a big player in the next 3 weeks.
I think, yeah, Philadelphia is going to be looking to add players. I think they'll ultimately win the division because, you know, they've got so much young talent.
They do.
That Rhys Hoskins kid is just incredible. I mean, if Michael Franco, that third baseman,
how about Manny
really
Machado? Where's his landing spot? Is it Arizona, Los Angeles, Philadelphia?
I think I really do think that he'll end up with the Yankees. As much as I hate to say it.
Do you really?
Yeah, I think that
They want him?
they've been engaged in talks with him. Yeah, and it sounds like they do have enough hitting, but they've said, I guess they were reportedly close to a trade with the Orioles earlier this afternoon.
I did not know that.
That's what I was reading. That's what I was reading on my way in. So
this is from the Globe today. The Orioles have been scouting the Cubs, Braves, Phillies, Cardinals, Indians, Dodgers, Diamondbacks, and Brewers, all of whom appear to be interested in Machado.
The Yankees have. I think the Yankees have really emerged in the last day here, and the Yankees have what it takes to pull it off. I don't think they'll do it right now. I think it'll be closer to, if the trade does happen, I think it'll be closer towards the deadline, simply because the Yankees need to move somebody on the left side of the infield before they make a move for Machado, because you can't make that move now and then have Machado, Andujar, and Didi all over there at shortstop to play shortstop and third base. So I think what we'll see.
I thought the trouble with the Yankees was that first base. I thought the left side was doing very fine.
Right, and they are.
You know, I heard rumors
it's the New York
Moustakas
Yankees
going and playing first. Everybody that's played first this year for the Yankees has kind of faltered. Bird hasn't hit well.
Yeah, Bird's not the player.
Drury came back from AAA. He didn't play well. They sent him back. Bird is back there. And I think Moustakas would be the good fit. Watching the Red Sox and Kansas City play this weekend, they had moved Moustakas to first base because, showing any, potential team that's going to trade for him, he can play first base as well. So I thought the fit for Moustakas would be in New York, but, maybe it's Machado. I kind of want to see Machado in the National League.
The Orioles are going to want to make a trade with the Yankees simply because the Yankees have the most to offer up. They're like the Yankees are like the Celtics of baseball right now. They have so much talent
Nick,
that they can move.
Would the Yankees have to give up their young third baseman in this trade?
It sounds like the Orioles said that they're interested in Justice Sheffield to be the headliner of the trade, which, I mean, that makes sense enough. If I'm the Yankees, this is what I'm sending Baltimore. I'm sending him Justice Sheffield and Didi Gregorius.
Didi?
And in return,
for a 2 month? Wow. Okay.
No, and in return, you're going to get Machado and Britton.
Oh, Zach Britton.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that helps. That takes away the problem on the left side of the infield. That gives you another good reliever to stock in your bullpen. And you still have plenty in the minor leagues to move around for a starting pitcher.
That's interesting because I heard the Red Sox were kicking the tires on Britton rather hard.
Yeah, and I think that it's possible that they could get him, but I just don't see the Red Sox as really big players at this trade deadline because they don't have what it takes to make a move.
The same question I ask all the time. Then why not make the trade on July 11th? Why wait 3 more weeks?
That's why the Orioles have not traded Machado already, just completely.
And Adam Jones is a nice player.
Really?
Well, what they're doing, they're shopping them, and they're waiting for the highest bidder to come in.
Well, the bids are only going to go down.
It's about getting the most you can. As the closer you come to the deadline, the more serious the potential buyer is. You're going to give a little more for him the day before trade deadline than you are today, and that's really what goes on.
Now, does Cleveland have any interest in Machado?
Cleveland has been in.
Because again,
on paper it makes sense. I don't know how much they've actually been involved.
we already
in
know
trade talks,
the
but
5 American League playoff teams. Okay,
Yeah.
they're just looking at not only are we going to make the playoffs, but we have a chance to win the World Series ring this year.
Yeah.
So I can see why the Yankees would want to mortgage some of their future to get him.
Yeah, and it's. Yeah,
But the thing is, I think
I don't know.
Right now, Boston's leading the league in runs scored.
Yep.
Yankees are second or third. I mean, their stats are so similar. Yankees are second in pitching. The Red Sox are third. They're so close.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
You know what was been very nice this year for the Red Sox is a little surprising is Erod coming up and really, to me, taking a number 2 spot in that rotation. You know, he's been injury prone throughout the years. He's always had the stuff, but I did not think that he would hold together this well. And he's really matured. And to me, by far, he is a number 2 pitcher on our squad. Not even close with anybody else. Of course, you got Chris Sales. You have Erod, and, who was number 3?
Porcello's had a pretty decent year.
Yeah. And Price has been, when Price is on, Price is a good pitcher.
David Price
is so painful.
David Price, earning $31 million a year, has got a 4.44 ERA.
Don't talk
My
to me
question
about
to you is this. Just say
nice
he
job
opted out.
against the Yankees
Just say he
the other
opted
night.
out, which he can do at the end of the season,
Good.
but he
But
won't.
he said he won't. Yeah.
He won't because words are going to. But if he did opt out,
Why would he do that?
what's the street value if he was available come November?
Oh, I think it's $10
Like
million.
$10 million a year,
Yeah, it's-
exactly.
Hey, Eduardo's
with the
kind of
current-
doing what Drew Pomeranz
We don't know
did
what the
last
contract situation will
Yeah.
be. He could go for $4 million. So, yeah.
Because I'm
for
surprised
him
the
to
Red
opt out would
Sox
just
have
be
won
so
as many
stupid.
games. If you would have told me David Price ERA was 4.44,
But
July
again,
11th,
that's a
that
little
the Red
misleading
Sox.
because Price has pitched pretty well against not great teams.
Yeah.
He's done great. His ERA's up probably a run because the Yankees have beaten him
Yeah,
up so
but it
much.
all evens out
I think-
over 162 games.
I think, though,
David
that
Price, I'm not sure it evens out.
I think that if you kind of just don't put the pressure of the contract on him and kind of disregard the contract for a second, I think that he's right up there with the top pitchers on the team, with Rodriguez and
I haven't seen that
Porcello.
until
I disagree with you, and I can't disregard a $31 million contract.
Yeah.
He's not worth the
embarrassment.
contract. I don't think that is a debate for anyone.
Right,
It
no
was a
debate.
terrible contract. The Red Sox made a fool of themselves by doing it. They showed the league why you can't give 7-year contracts to pitchers. But I think Price he's been a decent pitcher. I think people really hate him because he's got a bad contract, but at the end of the day, that's not his fault that teams that he got paid as much as he did.
Nick, I will tell you though,
So-
if Nick,
No, I'm not really fancy on his pitching.
yeah, if
I think he's a
David
good
Price
enough
was
pitcher.
getting $10 million a year, I would say, yeah, he's okay. But the number that sticks out, he's $31 million a year. Now, if he's getting 31, when Chris Sale becomes a free agent, then Chris Sale has to be a $40 million a year
Right.
pitcher because Chris Sale's got a nice resume. Now, caller, I have a question. I'm glad you called tonight. What in the world? And this is a guy I liked a lot when he was pitching with Oakland, Sonny Gray, who I really thought was going to have a near Hall of Fame career. His ERA, I think, is over 6. Yankees
he's
were
the
really
David Price of the
really counting on him.
the Yankees.
And the guy is terrible.
Yeah, I just don't think he can pitch in New York. I think he's, like Nick said earlier, maybe a small market team for this guy would be a lot better landing spot. At New York, Boston, there's definitely hard places to play for some people. But, I don't know if something's mentally with Sonny Gray, with his pitching because he's a really good pitcher and he's, just stumbled since he went to New York.
Yeah.
But, you may see him in a trade piece, if the Yankees make a big move to improve their club in the near future.
You know,
If
they
I'm
got
the Yankees. I'm not.
You know,
I'm not
I
trading
think
that.
the
I'm
Yankees
not
wouldn't
trading
mind
away Gray.
getting rid of him, and I think Gray would probably like a fresh start someplace.
And the thing, too, if I were the Yankees to be worried about, and they do need additional pitchers. CC's had a terrific year.
Yep.
He's got a 3.34 ERA, great first half, but you can't count on an old guy like that continuing pitching that well. They need a new, fresh arm. They did get the fat guy back, Tanaka, who, the greatest injury of all time. Not one pulled hamstring, two pulled hamstrings, because he had to run from first to third on a double.
Yeah.
Then he ran on a tight play from third to home where he had to gas it out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But the Yankees,
yeah. So it'll be interesting what the Red Sox do. They will probably make a couple moves because I'm not happy with a wild card spot. Whoever wins wild card is going to have to face Paxton of Seattle, and this guy is one heck of a pitcher.
That's
so
granted. The Mariners make the playoffs.
I would just do what we have to do to win the division.
Yeah, and that's I mean, obviously, you don't want to have your season come down to one game just to start the playoffs. So, I think the AL East race is going to be the most important race.
The big issue. Say if Boston's a wild card, and they know they're the wild card.
Don't do that to me.
They're going to have to set up the rotation where Chris Sale will pitch the wild card, and ditto for the Yankees, Severino. And right off the get-go, you're into the
Sale pitch the game.
Right. Then you're into the playoff, and you got Severino and Sale wouldn't be available.
Yeah, but I think it's a general consensus that the Yankees need to add that pitcher.
I haven't heard any rumors to the Yankees for a starting pitcher.
I think they will. Blake Snell. Looking at it from a Yankees perspective, I want them to get Blake Snell simply because Blake Snell is the kind of guy that needs to. The Yankees they have what it takes to get him. He's a game-changing pitcher, and he's being wasted in Tampa Bay right now on an absolutely terrible team.
Blake Snell is currently the second highest or lowest.
He's arguably the best.
I think he's the best pitcher in the American League. Yeah.
Verlander's at 2.05 now, and Snell's 2.09. So if Verlander gave up one run in the next inning, Snell would be the top ERA. And I'll be honest with you, I know nothing about Blake Snell, where he came from, who his mother is.
Well, he kind of just came out of nowhere this year. He wasn't.
Means nothing to me.
He was kind of a good. He was an okay pitcher last year, but this year he really burst onto the scene, and it might just be a good year for him.
What he's done, he's matured another year in the league.
Right.
And I'll tell you, look at the Rays; they're above 500 now. And when
the Rays have
a
Chris
guy
Archer
like Blake
too. You
Snell,
gotta remember that.
They do not let the team spiral into these long-term slumps. This guy, I would put him against any pitcher right now in the American League. This guy is lights out, and he should be starting the American League All-Stars.
Now, he didn't make the All-Stars because of some technicality, which I did not understand. I didn't understand. Now, Tampa, I was going to bring up tonight, kudos to them. They're playing above 500.
They proposed a new stadium.
And they're.
What about a new stadium?
I haven't. Well, I just want to say they're pulling in average per game 14,714.
Well, they proposed a new stadium.
That's been proposed for the last 8 years.
There's actually visuals of it that came out yesterday.
Let's talk money.
They're
actually
some money? Well, obviously it's going to be very expensive, but it looks like a pretty nice ballpark that's very modern.
Nick, all I can tell you was show me Montreal with Jeffrey Loria as their owner had a big press conference of the visual of Labatt Park. Remember, they leased property behind the Bell Center.
Right near the Bell Center.
For $1 million. They gave him $1 million. Just hold the property. We're going to build Labatt Ballpark there. A nice little 35,000-seater open air, and boom. I still think Tampa will be history.
And of course, the folks in Tampa, they're thinking that a new ballpark's going to add 10,000 fans a game or something?
And their sister team, Miami, with a 4-year-old ballpark.
Miami had what?
16, 17?
9,585.
Is that right?
And that's about 7,000 more people.
Isn't that the team set to be going to Montreal?
Tampa's the rumor.
Yeah.
Not a great rumor, but it's the one that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, caller, how many games would you be going to in Montreal with the Red Sox visiting 9 times a year? I'm sure you're going to hit 2-3 ball games.
Yeah.
You're going to have Yankees up there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yankees up there 9 times a year. You can guarantee a sellout for the Red Sox, Yankees, and I can guarantee you the Blue Jays would be being rivalries.
And that's the majority of your home games there. So.
Yeah, I could guarantee Montreal would get 3 million people a year.
Hawk, I'm not hearing a peep about Montreal.
But, at the same time, look at Toronto's attendance numbers.
They've fallen most this year. They've lost about 20,000.
And, Toronto's the only team in Canada. Pretty much every Canadian that likes baseball is a Blue Jays fan. If they don't have the attendance numbers, what's going to make Rob Manfred think that moving another team to Canada makes any sense at all? I mean,
21 out of 30 major league teams have got down attendance.
Montreal,
21 out of 30.
What's that, caller?
The location of Montreal, drawing New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts. I think there's a big hub here that would go up to Montreal versus people going to Toronto. If you've got a big baseball population.
Yeah,
right
but Toronto's
here,
got the Buffalo market right there.
And as Nighthawk said, when the Yankees came in town, the Red Sox came in town, and some of these other Eastern teams, I would think you would get a pretty good turnout.
Yeah. Duke just mentioned an interesting point. 21 out of the 30 ball clubs attendance is down this year. Now you look at a solid ball club like Seattle that you would figure you'd be, scratching and clawing to get a ticket. They're 15th in the league, only averaging 27,480. I've been to that ballpark at Safeco.
Beautiful
ballpark.
Yeah.
The team is performing great. It's just like even Philadelphia. 26,739. That used to be a great baseball city. They're in first place.
And of course, you're talking about Baltimore, obviously a horrible team.
Maybe it's the price of everything.
When
you have a beautiful widescreen TV, you got the cable, you can drink a Heineken at home for $2.
A bathroom a couple seconds away.
Caller, I really believe that is the number one reason. I think that coupled with young people don't watch baseball, they don't come to the ballpark anymore. Guys like me, you, and the Duke, when we pass on, baseball is in trouble. And you're right. When you've got a 47 or a 54-inch screen, air conditioned, you're watching it in your underwear, you could go get a Labatt Blue for $1.50. You can take your whiz about 12 feet away. It's pretty comforting. And even NFL attendance, aside from their American flag issue, before that has happened, their attendance has dwindled, So.
Yeah, well, league
okay, I'll
let
you guys go. And if Fitzy, if you're out there watching, Fitzy, Colin, the guys would like to hear from you, too.
Thank you, caller.
Guys.
Thanks, Bobby. See ya. Thank you.
Yeah, this attendance, and it's funny that was brought up. I actually printed up the up-to-date attendance.
How many teams are up in attendance? I bet.
Well,
I bet
Duke,
9 out of 30. 21 down, 9.
21 down. But it's just incredible. Like even Baltimore, granted, if there was a word worse than suck, okay, they suck. I've been up Camden Yards. Duke has been at Camden Yards.
Nice.
It's a great place.
Fine ballpark.
And they're averaging. Don't get old. You have to put glasses
We're talking
on.
teens, Hawk, I assume?
Listen, Camden Yards, 20,814.
Boy, that's
just
almost
an absolutely gorgeous ballpark.
Right.
But with a team that's, 40-plus games under 500?
And I've always said the best baseball cities in the American League, I've always considered Boston being the intellect, and St. Louis is the other team. St. Louis is toiling.
I trust they're 30.
They're four games over 500, St. Louis. Yet the third best attendance in baseball, averaging over 42,000.
That's a
They love their baseball.
Dan Shaughnessy got into this in a column Monday, Hawk. Sox may be thriving, but baseball sure isn't.
Yeah.
And is he talking about me here? This is one graph. Baseball has become the sanctuary of senior citizens. Hardcore baseball fans are the same people who have landlines in their home and still read daily newspapers.
That's him.
I think we have another.
Maybe he's just got a.
Let's grab a call. Good evening. You're on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
Is it really?
Fitzy! Fitzy, our dreams have come true after all.
Where have you been all summer?
It was 4th of July last week, and the week before I was